Welcome back to Life Aboard Argo, where students come together from all corners of the U.S. and the world to take part in a study abroad and gap year program that seizes them at every moment.
I guess this program and kind of how different it is and how travel-based it is really helps in putting you in a different frame of mind, making you more adaptive to what you're learning.
It's really cool to explore the world and see all these different harbors and see how much we all have in common in a way, but in a way they're all still incredibly different.
On Argo, something new every day. There's just so many different things coming into play here. It's nothing like home.
Despite the appearance of nonstop fun and adventure, these crewmates are constantly challenged by an intensive schedule of academic classes, training, team building, and of course, their fair share of socializing.
There's always challenges with every time. It's pretty windy out here, and things can get intense, but you guys did a great job. You stayed safe. We got them up. We're already going 10 knots right now, so we're sailing great. No engine is on, so we're going to have a whole nice little sail. This is why we came out here. This is what we're here to do.
Along with the obvious fun and accomplishment comes the daily challenges of living aboard a working schooner with 31 individuals.
The hardest thing to adjust to on Argo
is the toilets.
The toilets, they have to be pumped 50 times.
Pumping those things 50 times. So in some ways it's nice, but it's also nice to be out here with no Wi-Fi for a while and just kind of taking time to relax and not having to worry about hanging out with your friends and them all just scrolling through Facebook and Pinterest at the same time.
The first time I cooked for the crew of Argo, it was pretty darn hectic. I didn't know what I was doing. I think we burnt 4 things before we finally got something edible up on deck.
And then you keep pumping and pumping and pumping, and then some more pumping.
Time management is the hardest thing on this trip, of knowing when you have to write a paper, but it's our night out, so let's go out, or I'm so tired, I need to sleep.
The hardest thing adjusting to life on Argo is probably room space and sharing a room with 6 girls.
It's just so cool to be in this different world, really.
Having learned to wrest control of the organized chaos of every new day, it still falls to the students to develop the personal responsibility and mental toughness involved to both live and thrive here.
I think the constant need to keep improving is a major factor of this voyage.
I think I'm definitely going to grow on this trip, and I feel like I've already grown a bit on this trip, just in terms of being part of the community 24/7.
The best way to get to know my potential, my character, is to put myself in situations that I don't know if I'm comfortable in and see how I react.
From academia to diving to sailing, they are all put through the ringer to learn the value of teamwork, interdependence, and trust.
In the case of Seamester, experiential learning means scuba diving with your bio teacher, which I just did this morning, and she pointed out a bunch of fish that I can't wait to add to my fish ID book with the help of my teacher, which is crazy and awesome.
There's a different depth associated when you are seeing it in front of you and doing it instead of just reading about it, and I love it so much more. I think you really learn it and know it so much better.
Like yesterday, I went diving in the Canaries and I finally saw a real-life octopus. I'd read so much about them, but actually seeing it in life just made it that much better and more intense, and I've always dreamed of being a marine biologist. It's certain. I'm doing it.
Many of us have many different learning backgrounds, and it's pretty cool to be in classrooms with kids that are doing this as a major, marine biology and oceanography, and it's cool to work with them and study because they are so passionate about it, and by that it's making me learn so many things I never would have learned before, and I think that what we're doing now is preparing us to be successful at whatever we want to do.
I love diving. It's just so cool to be in this different world, really, and to breathe underwater.
On Argo, we get a briefing beforehand about what skills we're going to be learning, and we get a walkthrough on what we need to do while we're underwater. So we set up our equipment with a buddy, typically a good friend that you've known now for quite a while, so you trust him well enough with your equipment in your life. And everybody gets suited up. We choose the spot and do a giant stride off the boat.
As for duties on the boat, they change every day. So, you know, one day I might be in the engine room, the next day I might be in the kitchen, and the next day I might be scrubbing the decks. So I got to be prepared to change.
So the wake-up process for the different watches, 3 different watch teams, and each watch team is on for 4 hours, and they get 8 hours off. Getting woke up at 4 in the morning, get all your foul weather gear on, get up on deck. It's really hard not to fall back asleep.
To balance everything on Argo is definitely a juggling act. There's always something to do or be done. Even when you think you have off time, you can go take a nap, there's definitely something you should be doing.
So I want to be a captain of a ship one day, so this definitely showed me what to expect, what kind of personality type you need to be able to command a ship.
Learning to work together and maybe not take offense when someone says you're doing something wrong, because chances are you're doing something wrong. It's not easy learning to sail.
All of these experiences will play a critical role in what's to come. A 2-week, 3,000-mile transatlantic passage, the biggest challenge yet of their entire semester. It is up to everyone to persevere through trials and tribulations and build a support system so they can safely navigate the 2 arduous weeks ahead.
Provisioning for 31 people is like going to Costco on steroids, and it doesn't last. You have to do it constantly.
There's a lot of food that comes back from a provision.
200 cereal boxes.
150 apples.
44 blocks of cheddar.
135 potatoes. 400 eggs. 30 kilograms of spaghetti. 5 kilograms of butter. 600 cans of beans. 10 kilograms of beef.
230 cartons of milk.
How many practical uses are there for this many milk?
It seems like there's not a lot of space on Argo, but when you cram things into every available nook and cranny, there's a lot. There is mortar of beans and lentils and pasta between every single physical brick of this book.
If we have our act together at all times, this should go seamlessly. But if a single one of us doesn't have our act together, this can quickly become very dangerous. We pretty much have to rely on each other.
That fear of not knowing what's going to happen, and just not knowing what to expect.
I think not seeing land on the passage will be a little bit difficult. I mean, Argo is my first time being on a boat, and we've done like the shorter passages, the 2-3 day passages. I think just looking around and having nothing but open ocean for days upon days, it's going to be awesome, but it's going to be a little terrifying.
It's going to be hard to not go stir crazy after a bit, because probably going to have a good week and a half of just water out there.
Another challenge is going to be facing myself. That's something that a lot of people really have a tough time doing.
Anything can happen.
As the grand departure approaches, the gravity of the situation begins to take hold as Argo is physically readied for a voyage.
We are getting ready to cross the Atlantic Ocean. So right now I have the whole crew preparing different tasks, going about making sure that everything's ready.
And on the mainmast, we've got Kelsey. Right now she's putting some soft chafe gear up there. When we're sailing downwind, the sails could potentially be rubbing on those on the shrouds, so that's going to kind of protect our sails.
This passage is looking to be 16 to 18 days. Right now, wind is looking good.
We learn about sail handling, and we learn about how to use the engine, and we learn about how to do all sorts of parts so that when something does go wrong, we can fix it and we can go with it, because that is mostly what sailing is about.
And finally, after weeks of planning, training, and anticipation, Argo and her crew set off to cross the Atlantic.
You guys ready to go to the Caribbean?
Yeah.